Alrighty everyone, meteorologist Michael Wilhite here with SouthernIndianaWeather.com. Want to bring you an update on Hurricane Irma, and for all of you that are watching from down there, but also specifically dial in maybe a little bit more here towards the Ohio Valley and the effects that Irma may have on us. It's certainly not going to be as bad down as down there in Florida. Here's Hurricane Irma right now. It's about 8:40 a.m. Central Time as I am recording this video here. You can see Irma spinning down there. She's right now sort of clipping the coast of Cuba. Here's the eye wall right here, and you can see the eyes, just sort of moving in this direction. It's down when wind speed just a little bit. It's interacting with the mountains, and so that's to be expected whenever you interact with the mountains there of Cuba. Smaller hurricanes it can tear to shreds, but Irma is just so big that there's just no way this is going to tear it up completely. But wind speeds are down to 130 miles per hour now. Well, that's better than the 185 that we saw, a couple of days ago with this. But, as this turns to the northwest and moves on up out of this, away from the land and over this warm ocean water, we'll probably regain a little bit of strength with this. The northwest turn hasn't really happened yet. We're starting it is more on that west-northwest track, but eventually it'll start to turn more to the straight northwest and then more kind of up to the north. Let me show you where the latest hurricane tracks are. This is the official projection from the National Hurricane Center. This is from the 8 a.m. Eastern Time advisory. Excuse me. And so there's the X is the position of Irma at the time of the advisory, and you can see there it is. It starts to make that turn very, very soon. Now we'll have to watch this today. The forecast is for that turn to happen today. Now it has not, but the forecast has been for it to turn ever so slightly before this, and Irma has just not turned yet. So Irma is just so big and massive, it's almost as if she is, just the bully that's going to go wherever she wants to go. But basically what you've got out over here, just to illustrate things for you, is you got a ridge of high pressure out here. You got another high pressure out here, and you've got a trough of low pressure sort of digging down in here. And so remember, winds rotate clockwise around high pressures. So let me sort of draw that on here for you. And then low pressures sort of go in this direction with the jet stream. And then, of course, you've got Irma flowing counterclockwise because she's a big low pressure as well. Well, where are you going to go? Well, Irma can't really go much out this way because high pressure is blocking her. So that's not going to happen. She can't go this way either because high pressure is blocking her. Basically, the only path that she has choice-wise to go here is right up here in between the middle of that. So eventually she'll feel the effects of these two high pressures. She'll be starting to turn a little bit to the north, and she'll be picked up by this trough and then start to go somewhere based off of that. So that's kind of the synopsis of why she's going to turn north. The question is, when exactly is she going to do it? The later she turns, the more Florida will be spared. Right now, you've noticed probably over the past few days that the cone has shifted a little bit. The center of the cone here now predicted to sort of maybe make landfall in the Keys here, then maybe make landfall right along the west coast of Florida here somewhere and sort of go up. And of course, remember that it wasn't just a few days ago that the track was more like this, and then sometimes the track was more like this, and then yesterday the track was sort of right up the center. It's trended more and more west each day, as you can see, and of course the reason for that is quite simple. It's because Irma has not made that northwest and then north turn as quickly as what the modeling had said she was going to, and so it gets adjusted slightly, ever so slightly more. So is this the final track, or will Irma possibly go out to sea? Well, I don't think she's going out to sea, certainly not this way, but there is a possibility if Irma be stubborn and decides maybe I'll take a little westerly track before I take that northerly track. There is a real possibility that Irma could go something like this, and the eye wall could actually miss the entire state of Florida until it gets up towards the panhandle. That's a real possibility at this point. We'll just have to watch the trends and see where it strikes today. We know Irma's going to turn. Meteorologically, I don't see any way possible she just stays on a straight westerly course with that high there. But eventually, she'll feel those effects. It just, it may not, with Irma being so strong, the modeling, I think, is just having a very hard time modeling, thinking this is, the normal run-of-the-mill hurricane, and the high pressure would move it out of the way a little quicker than it did. That's not happening because Irma is just so massive. It will happen eventually. We're high confidence in that, but it's just a matter of time. And then you can see, of course, from there that the remnants would move somewhere up into here. Right now, the prediction is for the remnants to move into the Tennessee Valley. Now, for us here in the Ohio Valley, that could still give us some impacts from this. Here's the way the global models take it. And notice all of the global hurricane models here are tracking right up the west coast now. GFS ensembles still in reasonable agreement with that. Black line being the mean, the ensemble mean of that. And notice it does take it before it spins out and then gets absorbed up into the mean flow of the jet stream up here, and would move us through the Ohio Valley. Now let's just take a look at a couple of models. First, let's look at the Euro. The Euro model has been the most consistently good in the short term. And it's not been the greatest in the long term with it. It's struggling like the rest of them. But in the 1 to 2 day term, it has been in a locking it down pretty decent, better than what the others are. So here's the way it looks for this. And so now it tries, you notice that it tries to skirt Irma here right along the coast, and before it makes that turn. But you notice it does make that turn up here, and so it would go over the Keys, and then it does landfall it over here on a path sort of like this and goes up. Notice that it spins the remnants out right over Tennessee before they sort of get moved away. By the way, this is Jose that you see over here, and let me back up and just show you. So here's Jose right here, and watch what Jose does here. It sort of does this position where it doesn't really do the loop-de-loop, and it sort of is on a trajectory to maybe either go out to sea or maybe hit up here. That's something that we are going to have to watch. In fact, if I just show you what the GFS is doing on this, here's the GFS position for Irma right now. Irma strikes the Keys, and then she kind of still goes up more towards the center. So the GFS is still holding on to a more northerly turn for that. We'll have to see the remnants of that then sort of spinning out here in the Tennessee Valley. But you notice in this situation that this would be okay, so here is, this would be Monday night, Tuesday morning, early, about 1 a.m. Central Time here. And you can see there's the first bands early Tuesday morning, late Monday night, starting to enter into the area. And you can see Tuesday getting in some rain. Then by Wednesday, there's some spotty showers in the area, and the same way on Thursday as well, as the remnants here start to move off and away. All right, so we could get a little bit of rain with this for us in the Ohio Valley, but it doesn't look like a tremendous amount to me, just personally at this point. Let me show you just really quickly for the Ohio Valley here, the wind speed predictions. Many of you have said, "Oh, I don't want another, I don't want another system like we saw back in 2008." We're not gonna see that. Here is the wind speed predictions whenever Irma is really starting to, the remnants move into the Tennessee Valley. Beyond this, she just loses steam more and more each day. So this is the most wind that we would get out of this in here. And we're looking at 15, 18, 20 knots in spots here. So, 10 to 25 mile per hour winds out of this is what this is predicting. As far as rain, fall totals, it doesn't look like a tremendous amount of rain for us either. We get the bigger rains down to the south. She's losing steam as she goes further north, and this is only progging 0.4 of an inch here in Evansville, 1.3 in Louisville, ½ inch up here towards Bloomington, and only a whopping 1/10 of an inch up towards Indy. So this is not going to be a big rainmaker for Indiana, barring major changes to this. Irma surprised us thus far with a lot of what she did, so I'm not going to say that this is going to be locked in stone and absolutely right yet. Irma could still surprise us, but as of right now, it doesn't look like just an absolutely major maker for us. Why don't I put this here into motion for you, and let's watch what the NAM does with Irma. You can see Irma on the NAM model, the eye wall here actually pretty much just rides up the coast and stays out to sea. Would landfall there somewhere here along the Forgotten Coast area of Florida here. Then this is a short-term model, so it doesn't go out further than this. It's one prediction here. The biggest impacts in Florida to this, you would still have some, you'd still have some hurricane force winds along the west coast of Florida. This is a best case scenario for East Coast Florida. You're not going to get it nearly as bad if the NAM is right here. But you do see these little bands coming out, and so that would create a tornado risk with it as well. So it's not a pretty picture no matter how you look at it for the way this is looking. But we're just going to have to see how this pans out. Right now, in my opinion, I think the West Coast is certainly more vulnerable than what the East Coast is. But hurricane warnings all up and down both sides. The watches are up here in pink. By the time we get into later today, those watches will start to be spreading up a little bit more towards the north portion of this as well. But, you know, impacts, remember, Irma is 400 miles wide, so impacts are going to be felt all across the state. And I do think Cat 1 winds could be felt over a good chunk of the state, given this track as well. So we'll just have to see how things pan out. But this is going to be an intense storm system. There is a slight risk of severe weather for the southern part of Florida today, and then tomorrow that moves up the the east coast. Remember that with Irma taking a track, you know, something similar to this, the right side of the hurricane is usually the tornado threat, and so that's where the outline is. And if I go back and I just, you know, remind you of what future radar looked like here in time, you know, you can kind of see, let me go more like this. Here you go. You can start to see those bands maybe moving up just a little bit more with this. Yeah, it's kind of hard to see this with the model or the way it is, but there you go. There's some of the bands. And this would be the tornado threat, as you know, as the tornado sort of spins out here, and you get these rotating thunderstorms that go on the outer edges of it. Of course, you know, they're already experiencing some of that out there already. Here is, you know, here's radar for Florida right now. And this is as far as our radar goes out into it, out to sea here. But you can see those first bands are already affecting Florida, so they'll start to see the wind later today. Conditions are going to be pretty much rapidly deteriorating with this. So if you have not evacuated in Florida, gas has become one of those situations where it's extremely hard to find. So you may not get to evacuate. The best bet that you can probably do at this point is to just sort of hunker down. There is Jose, by the way, out here, and you notice this is where Irma just went. Irma literally destroyed the islands of Barbuda and Antigua, and there they are. Just wow. Jose coming on a very similar path with them as well. So, by the way, Katia, it was down here. Katia is now just a low pressure over here, and she's out of the picture. She's already made landfall, and she's sort of out of the picture. There's another tropical wave that is going to be coming off of the coast of coast of Africa, not Alaska. That could lead to more hurricane impacts later down the line. So this is an active season. We're going to have to watch this. Let me end on this, Jose. So here's Jose out here. This is the GFS that I showed you. So now the remnants are out of the system. Watch what Jose does after Irma is out of the way. According to the GFS model, we're not doing much of a loop-de-loop. It starts to recurve back north, and then watch what it does. Landfalls right up there in Maine. Is that a reasonable solution? I'm not sure how likely it is, but it is a possible solution. We'll put it that way. So we're going to have to watch Jose as well. He's no threat in the short term, but in the longer term, the modeling does hint that he could take a turn and be a pretty powerful hurricane for the northeast somewhere. So, you know, we could, in theory, then have Harvey, Irma, and then right after that, Jose, 3 named storms right in a row, landfalling into the United States. I don't know if that's a record or not, but that's pretty ridiculous. This hurricane season is starting to remind me more of 2005, whenever we had Katrina, and then we had, let's see, we had 3 major hurricanes hit the U.S. that year. Or Wilma was the last one, and then Rita was the other one in between that. So, active. By the way, beyond this, though, if you're looking for rain here in the Ohio Valley, not a whole lot coming. So we've got Irma that could give us just a little bit of rains here as far as that goes. But then once those spotty showers are out there, the next chance of rain really for us in the forecast is not until next weekend, a week from today, and then into Monday. And you see, it's not just overly impressive chances in the modeling. Unfortunately, we could use a little bit of rain around here, but it doesn't look like we're going to get a ton of rain here, unfortunately, with this. Well, keep Florida in your prayers. I'll have more updates on social media as the time goes on. I'm meteorologist Michael Wilhite with SouthernIndianaWeather.com. Have a great day, folks. Have a great weekend. And for those of you down in Florida, you are certainly in my prayers. Stay safe and do what Floridians do well and ride through the storm.